I'll try to put myself together. I will try to attain what I'm not. And that is what the world is telling all of our gals all the time. The enemy is asking this question. He's saying, aren't you missing something? Ladies, he asks you every day. Sisters, aren't you missing something? Don't you need to add to what God did? You're not enough the way that you are. You must do something to prop yourself up because God couldn't handle it. And she and we embrace what I'll just call fig leaf thinking. Fig leaf thinking is I'm always trying to better myself because deep inside there's an insecurity that I am not okay the way that I am. And you know, on some levels, there's truth to what the enemy is saying. Because of the fall, because of sin, because sinfulness is now within our veins, we do need something to make us okay, but it's nothing that we can do. You see, God came along and he sought out Adam and Eve. They didn't seek him. He sought them. And he said, hey, your fig leaves, no, those aren't going to work. You need me to cover you. I didn't cause this. You caused it. But in order for you to really be rescued, I need to fix it. And he does this interesting bit of performance art. He takes animal skins, which meant the first death had to do with covering of sin. He takes animal skins and he covers the man and the woman and says, you're not sufficient to cover yourself. I cover you. And do you know that's what Jesus Christ offers to each and every person? He says, you're doing all of this and trying to hide and run and deal with and make your sin more appealing. And what you really need to do is accept the blood and the sacrifice and the death of Jesus Christ as your covering. It's not something that you can do on your own. But anyway, the enemy is asking her and asking our ladies every day, aren't you missing something? And I want to give you 7 areas where he's asking that question. The first area is in the realm of appearance. Now, ladies, I need to hear some amens if this is true. Okay, isn't it true, ladies, that really it's not even about whether or not you look pretty, it's whether or not you feel pretty. Is that true? Yeah, guys don't really understand this. I'm sorry. I've never rolled up on a guy and he's over here crying. What's wrong, bro? I just don't feel pretty. Like, guys don't understand that at all. And that's all right. We don't know because we don't have that original ministry in the same way of demonstrating the Lord's beauty to the rest of the world. But gals do this all the time. They're comparing themselves to what they looked like when they were 17. They're sad about their stretch marks or whatever it is. They're comparing themselves. They're in the checkout aisle at Meijer, and they're looking at these magazines and all these models. And what they're forgetting is, okay, first of all, there was a team of people that put that girl together. Second, there's a whole bunch of airbrush and computer-generated stuff going on with her, and most ladies don't have access to all of that every day. And really, ladies, they get to the place, whether it's at work, whether it's at school, and I know this isn't all of you, so just here for some of you, but you so want to be more or prettier than you are that when you see a girl that you think is prettier than you, you're tempted to hate her. Like, I hate that girl. This was driven home to me a few weeks ago. I didn't totally understand this, but so we have this service called VidAngel, okay? So that's a streaming service that kind of cleans your movies. It'll take out whatever you want, like swearing or sex or whatever. And so The Italian Job is on the VidAngel. I'm like, oh, cool. Babe, this is a great flick. Let's watch this. Talking to my wife, Mackenzie. And I go to turn it on, and immediately her disposition changes. She's like, oh, I don't want to watch this show. And I'm like, what is this about? Like, this is a good show, and we took all the hell out. I don't know what the problem is. Come to find out, as I pushed on that thing over the next few days, the problem is not the show, it's the actress, okay? It's Charlize Theron. As soon as Kenzie sees that woman, who I have, okay, she's great, she's fine, she's a human, but there's no attraction there for me. As soon as she sees that, it's like, that woman is pretty and she's a threat, no show. We are not watching that show. And she doesn't always respond that way, but ladies, is that real? Do y'all just kind of get mad when there's someone you think is a threat or someone who's pretty? I don't totally understand that, but ladies, you have this thing about appearance, and it's because you were designed to demonstrate the beauty of Jesus Christ. And you feel like something is broken or something is fallen. And some gals, they jump out of the competition, which is what it is, altogether. And they say, you know what, I don't think I'll ever be pretty enough for this world. Or somebody said something to me early on, and so I just take myself out of the race. And what's sad, it's smart that they don't engage in the culture's values like that, but it's kind of bad because they squelch and deny and kill that thing in their heart that wants to demonstrate God's beauty, and they become resentful, and they become angry instead of looking for a different way. Now, ladies, don't hear me wrong. Ain't nothing wrong with Maybelline, okay? There's nothing wrong with making yourself pretty, but we're going to look at a better way here in a little bit, but I want to touch on some other areas. What about the house or apartment or condo, whatever kind of dwelling you live? Gals sometimes believe that their house represents them on some level. Okay, so that means whatever's true inside that house, it's really about them. And if they were a better person, they'd have a better house. And my sisters, this gets really bad. And listen, I ain't dissing this, but this is just weird to me. A few years ago, there was something invented called Pinterest. Okay, Pinterest is, ladies, I don't know how else to say this. This is like house porn. Okay, it's weird, man. There's this it creates this unreasonable expectation of like, if your living room doesn't look like this, or your kitchen doesn't look like this. And sisters, can I just give us all a revelation? Nobody lives in those rooms, okay? Those are like showrooms. Those are like to sell people things. Nobody actually has that. How many ladies know if you have a child between 0 and 12, at least once a day, it's like a bomb went off in your house? Okay, so nobody's world is really like that. And then speaking of kids, there's kids. Letter C is a place that women don't feel good enough is with their kids sometimes. Whatever their kid does kind of represents them. And so if their kid is acting wrong, or their kid is out of line, or their kid mouths off in a public place, it's because I'm a bad mom. My wife, a few weeks ago, we noticed a family down the street, and their kids all have matching clothes. And my wife's like, man, I can't even find socks for these kids sometimes. And immediately becomes I'm a bad mom because my kids' clothes don't match. And I know that sounds weird, but that's how ladies do it sometimes. If my world, this realm, isn't up to snub with somebody else's, it's because I'm bad. Relationships. This gets sticky for gals too. Some of our single women here, you're awesome and you're free, and yet sometimes you're tempted to think, if I was really good enough, I wouldn't be single. If I was smarter, if I was prettier, if I was a little more godly, or sometimes if I was a little less godly, I'd attract the right kind of guy, and then I could feel better about myself. I'd be better. I would be able to be good enough. Other ladies, and I know because I've had conversations with some of you, and I'm not saying this is everybody, but some of you have been divorced and you feel like you are bruised fruit. And like there's nothing you can do to make up for that. Like you missed that season of life. It somehow went wrong. And ladies, just so we remind ourselves, it takes two to tango, okay? And yeah, I'm sure you did some things imperfect, but so did somebody else. But you still feel like, I'm never going to get past this, and I'm never going to be over this, and I'm always going to be not quite good enough compared to somebody else. Some of us, sisters, there's a friend group that you're not in, right? There's the friend group, oh, they're all so tight. And they all like squeal at each other's jokes. And in some of them, like they go on the lake house trip and they're all in their lake house, right? And they all wear the same kind of pajamas and all that kind of stupid stuff. And you feel weird. You feel like I wasn't invited into that group. And it's because I'm not good enough. If they really, and the truth is they never had a meeting to exclude you. It's just the way life went. And yet you feel like if I was really good enough, I'd be inside that group. How many know that all relationships are marred by sin? There is not a relationship on earth that doesn't have complications because of sin. What about career? Some ladies, this is a real sticky place. This is letter E if you're taking notes. Career, this means, hey, I need to keep moving forward so I can demonstrate to everybody that I'm a good enough woman. I'm talented enough, I have enough power, I have enough influence. When I'm really important, then I'll have the name on my desk, or I'll have my name on the office or whatever. And if I could just get there, then I would be good enough. Then people would understand. Sometimes even like religion, that's letter F. And by that I mean our walk with Jesus. There's a myth out there, my sisters, that says a real Christian woman doesn't have any problems. She has no anxiety. She has no stress. She's always like she fits into what she fit into when she was 17 years old. She would never have to take medicine or anything like that. She'd never have to see a counselor. She would just be, her kids would always be behaving. And sisters, that's just not true. Like, that's not how it goes. Listen, all of us stumble in many ways, and we make lots of mistakes, and Jesus picks us up. That's how that works. And here's where it gets messy, is that sometimes gals, they'll show up for a while because they'll feel like life is going good, and I feel good about this stuff. And as soon as life starts to not go well, then they're out the door. They're like, well, I can't show up now because I don't have a perfect life anymore. And it's like totally dumb. I'm not calling anybody dumb, but I'm just saying, so when things aren't going well, then you leave church? Like, that doesn't make any sense, sister. Otherwise, they just fake it. They're just like, well, I'll pretend everything's good, and I'll never be vulnerable, I'll never share what's actually going on in my heart with anybody so that I can't be rejected. But the problem with that is eventually you get worn out, and you get tired of faking it, and then you just move on. And then letter G is the past. Lots of gals really identify more with their past than their current state in Jesus Christ. They look at something that happened in the past, or maybe somebody that wasn't there, or the way somebody treated them, or the way somebody took advantage of them, and they say, because of this mark in my past, this is who I am for the rest of my life, and I'll never be good enough because I can never undo that thing that happened. And it's super sad. And it's missing the power of truly hearing God's voice through His Word and embracing your royal destiny. You see, there's a fig leaf thinking, which says, I've got to primp. I've got to somehow cover myself. I've got to have the right job or the right kids or the right marriage or the right looks to be okay, to be good enough. But then there's a daughter of a king mindset. There's a royal mindset. See, nobody can unmake you a princess. When you really know that Jesus Christ has caused you to be a son or daughter in Him, when He has caused you to be by virtue of His sacrifice, He says in His Word that He that knew no sin, Jesus, became sin so that we might become the righteousness of God in Jesus Christ. That means Jesus gifts you His good enough. You don't need your own good enough anymore. You don't need any more fig leaves because He's taken His own royal robe and He's thrown it around you and says, my approval is on this one. I was good enough for this one forever. They are royalty. When that's true of us, ladies, we don't have to primp anymore. Two words come to mind as I think about you poor, awesome, sweet women. The first word is tired. As I was reading all these surveys this past week, tired. Like, y'all are wearing so many hats. I don't just mean physically tired. I mean emotionally tired of having to be all these different women. Oh, my word. And then frustrated. The second word is frustrated. I think there's something deep in the heart of a woman that knows it's supposed to be easier than this. There's something in you, you beautiful creature, that was placed in there by God back in Eden that remembers there's supposed to be a rest to this thing. This is supposed to be easier than, I'm not afraid of hard work, but this should be easier than this. I can't be trying to be somebody all the time. Now let's look at those 7 categories and let's just I want to own this with all you awesome Wonder Women. I want to own this together. Listen, all those 7 categories, nobody can get an A+ in every one of those areas all the time. It's not possible. There's no one on earth who could do that. You might have an A in different seasons in different areas, but that's just not going to happen. It is a goal that should be forsaken, sister. You're not crazy. Nobody could ever do that.